Namaskar, good evening. You're watching Breaking Ground and I am Swati Joshi. Let's first take a look at the top 5 developments that we are going to focus on here on this broadcast at 5 p.m. Amid the Middle East crisis, Prime Minister's 7-point appeal has had the entire nation talking. Rupee has seen a steep decline, Forex reserves also seeing a downhill trend owing to rising import costs. But why is this the need of the hour? We tell you today in our deep dive on Breaking Ground. Is it time for you to stop your foreign trips? And will Indians really reduce purchase of gold following the Prime Minister's appeal? We take your views today on the Janata's Take. The opposition is criticizing Prime Minister and is accusing the government of mismanagement. But in doing so, does it forget its own appeal that it made in 2012 when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister? We tell you all about the politics over the Prime Minister's appeal. We'll also take you down south in Tamil Nadu. Chief Minister Vijay met his rival, the former Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and Udayanidhi Stalin on day 2 as the CM. Will he be able to build consensus with all sides, and is this Vijay's version of Sabka Saath? Let's also talk about what's happening in Kerala. Sources tell Times Now that Rahul Gandhi is backing K.C. Venugopal for the post of CM in Kerala, while Priyanka Gandhi is reportedly backing V.D. Satishan instead. Will the High Command be able to solve its CM conundrum in the state in time? Let's first talk about the big story that we are tracking very closely. Well, India is preparing for the economic impact of the ongoing West Asia conflict. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his 7-point appeal, has urged citizens to make significant lifestyle and consumption changes to conserve foreign exchange and reduce the strain on the economy amid the global energy crisis. He emphasized the importance of using petrol and diesel sparingly, cutting down on cooking oil consumption and opting for public transport or carpooling wherever possible. The Prime Minister also encouraged people to consider electric vehicles, work from home where feasible, save foreign exchange, postpone traveling abroad and refrain from buying gold for next year, for the entire year. And these measures, the Prime Minister said, are vital for managing the economic challenges posed by rising energy costs and the uncertainty created by the West Asia conflict.
वैश्विक संकट के इस समय में हमें कर्तव्यों को सर्वोपरि रखते हुए कुछ संकल्प लेने होंगे और उन संकल्पों को पूरे समर्पण भाव से पूरा करना होगा। जैसे एक बड़ा संकल्प है पेट्रोल डीजल का संयम से इस्तेमाल करना। साथियों, हमें पेट्रोल डीजल का उपयोग कम करना होगा। शहरों में जहां मेट्रो है वहां हम तय करें कि हम मेट्रो का ही उपयोग करेंगे, ज्यादा से ज्यादा मेट्रो में ही जाएंगे। अगर कार में ही जाना जरूरी है तो फिर कारपूल करने का प्रयास करें।
So let's now decode what the Prime Minister's appeal means. You've heard the appeals, but what does that mean? So Prime Minister has appealed for work from home. Why? Because that would reduce the burden on fuel. It will lead to less usage of fuel. The ultimate goal is to save oil. Next, the Prime Minister also spoke about avoiding buying gold. Why is the Prime Minister talking about avoiding buying gold? Because that would mean less dollars go out and it saves Forex. Then the Prime Minister also spoke about using public transport. That includes metro, buses. Why? Once again, less consumption of petrol and diesel, and that will help in cutting the import bill. He also spoke about cooking oil. He says use less cooking oil because India has to import that, and it will ultimately help the nation save money. He spoke about going natural when it comes to farming as well. That would mean less fertilizer imports. Once again, it reduces the cost and also reduces dependency when it comes to fertilizers. The Prime Minister also emphasized that we should now focus on buying Indian products, prioritize that, because that would boost Indian business, and the ultimate goal of keeping money in India will be achieved through this particular measure. He said, don't travel abroad at least for a year. Avoid foreign travel. Less dollar spending would mean that rupee is protected. So the Prime Minister says these measures are the need of the hour. Let me in fact go across to my colleagues. We have on the broadcast Neha, Ankit, Rucha and Prakash. I first want to go across to Neha. Neha, there is a lot of speculation, the opposition already hitting out at the Prime Minister and the centre, saying the burden now of the rising cost of fuel will be passed on to the Aam Aadmi. Do you sense any sort of panic after the appeal from the Prime Minister?
Well, Swati, we're at a petrol pump right now, and of course, what you'd be able to see behind me here is that so far, at least, there hasn't been any kind of panic that's been triggered, at least as far as Bengaluru is concerned. Petrol pumps, of course, wearing quite a barren look, much like the usual business is what most, in fact, pumps that we've been visiting have had people saying. Of course, we've been seeing the kind of rush at CNG bunks by the auto drivers, at least, for the past couple of weeks now. But as far as petrol pumps in particular are concerned, it seems like the situation is quite normal. We have a couple of citizens right now who are joining us from Bengaluru, taking the questions across to them straight ahead. Sir, I want to start by asking you, the Prime Minister today, in a bid to try and, secure the rupee, or in a bid to try and ensure the rupee stabilizes, has suggested to the people to follow a few measures, one of them being work from home wherever possible. I want to ask you, as someone, of course, who's working today, do you see this impacting you in any way, sir, positively? How do you feel that, this would help protect the rupee, if at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a good move if companies and the employees agree to work from home at least like 3 or 4 days in a week, which will definitely reduce the fuel consumption and help the economy in a larger way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, I have to ask you, the prices of petrol and diesel have been on a rise, day after day. And it is, of course, pinching the common man. At a time like this, the Prime Minister says, try and cut down foreign travel, try and cut down purchase of gold, try and, conserve the consumption of petrol and diesel. How do you see these measures?
I would say these measures are excellent measures. And in fact, it is not an appeal. In my opinion, it should be insisted upon. It should be made mandatory. All these measures, whereby our Indian rupee value is protected, these have to be done. In fact, people should volunteer and do it on their own.
Okay. So my last question to you, of course, in these times of uncertainty where we're seeing a global crisis, of course, the Prime Minister trying to bring in a few measures, sir, do you actually see a long-term impact of this on people?
Yes, particularly gas. If you look at the prices for commercial, it has really shot up, and you see many of the smaller units are closed. But there are a lot of thrust on PNG is happening in Bangalore particularly. A lot of pipelines have been laid for individual apartments. That has to be speeded up, and that can be provided to a large extent. It will reduce the burden on cylinders. Yeah, it will help. Yeah.
Well, of course, citizens of Bengaluru here speaking to us about the Prime Minister's, appeal to the common man today in the country.
From where you are reporting, Neha, about the Prime Minister's appeal and the impact of that on ground, there does not seem to be any panic in people at the moment. In fact, they are saying that people should voluntarily do such things. No panic from where Neha is reporting. Before I go across to our other colleagues, we have some breaking inputs coming in on the broadcast. And here's an update on the 5th IGOM meeting on West Asia that was chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. In the meeting, they took stock of the latest developments in terms of the conflict and also discussed ways to bolster India's readiness to ensure its minimum effect on the people. Prakash is with us on the broadcast for more on that. Prakash, what are you picking up? Prakash, if you can hear me, and if you could share more details on the meeting chaired by Rajnath Singh, what did the IGOM discuss?
No, I am learning from my sources in the Oil Ministry when it comes to, under recoveries on petrol and diesel that the oil marketing companies are facing at this point in time. Sources are indicating that the under recoveries on petrol and diesel are mounting at this point in time, which may cross rupees 1 lakh crore in the first quarter of the current financial year. And the overall under recovery on petrol, diesel and LPG may cross rupees 2 lakh crore in the first quarter of the current financial year. And therefore, the situation is being reviewed constantly within the government. In fact, sources suggest that the Prime Minister office has held an important meeting with Finance Ministry and World Ministry. In fact, they have submitted their inputs and an appropriate decision would be taken. However, sources are also indicating that the possibility of a petrol-diesel price hike cannot be ruled out at this point, or at this point in time, on the back of multiple reasons, as world marketing companies are facing huge under-recoveries due to high crude oil prices in the international market. However, sources also indicate that, interest of the common man would be taken into consideration and an appropriate decision would be taken at the right time.
Absolutely.
Along with that,
Prakash,
you are aware
what you're
of the
saying, in fact, is big news. Prakash says, according to sources, that the price hike as far as petrol and diesel is concerned cannot be ruled out. At the moment, of course, there's no such official confirmation on that or any official announcement. But the opposition says that soon the burden is going to be passed on to the Aam Aadmi. Let's also tell you, viewers, about the impact that India has been facing amid West Asia conflict and what it means for the Indian economy. Let's first talk about rupee versus dollar. So on February 27, before the conflict broke out, it was 91.08 per dollar. Today, the current situation is it has reached 94.50. So that's rupee versus dollar scenario. Let's talk about India's Forex reserves. There has been a dip, a drop. February 27th, it was 728.494 US dollars, billion dollars. And on the 1st of May, it was 690.693 US billion dollars. There was a decline of $38 billion. Let's talk about the gold price drop for 24 karat gold. February 27th, the price range was between 1,60,150 to 1,61,190 per 10 gram. On the 10th of May, the current scenario is that the price range is between 1,52,350 to 1,53,000. Let's now talk about Brent crude price and the surge that we have witnessed. Before the conflict, February 27th, it was $72.48 per barrel. And the current scenario is it has breached the $100 mark. It's at $104 per barrel. Let me go back to our reporters. We have Ankit on the broadcast as well. Ankit, remember the Prime Minister also urged the citizens that they should avoid traveling to foreign countries and prioritize domestic traveling. How is the tourism industry looking at this appeal?
Yes, absolutely. Prime Minister has already appealed to the people of the country that avoid traveling to the foreign. They should travel within the country. I'm joined by one of the travel companies owner, Mr. Avinash Vora in Jammu. Avinash ji, जिस तरीके से कल प्रधानमंत्री का आपने बयान सुना होगा कि फॉरेन ना जाए, अगर आपने घूमना है तो विद इन कंट्री में घूमिए. आपकी अगर बात की जाए, आपके भी कई ऐसे जो कस्टमर्स होंगे जो फॉरेन के लिए जाते होंगे.
देखिए, हमारा तो काम ही ट्रैवल एजेंसी का है, तो हमारे पास तो बहुत सारे कस्टमर्स होते हैं जो फॉरेन भी ट्रैवल करते हैं, विद इन द इंडिया भी ट्रैवल करते हैं. तो कल से एडवाइजरी आई है, बहुत लोगों में पैनिक है, लेकिन काफ़ी सारे लोग हमें कॉल कर रहे हैं कि सर अब क्या होगा. जैसे हमारी, आपको पता है, रूटीन में बुकिंग्स चलती रहती हैं, तो काफ़ी सारे लोग हैं जिनकी बुकिंग्स हुई हैं, वो हमसे पूछ रहे हैं कि आगे क्या करना है, कहीं बंद तो नहीं हो जाएगा. तो अभी कुछ भी क्लियर नहीं है. हम लोग भी अगर बोलें तो हमें भी कुछ क्लियर नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ, अगली बुकिंग के लिए हमें आना थोड़ा सा कम हो गया, बट मैं ये नहीं बोल सकता कि बंद हो गया है. अभी पूरा क्लियर नहीं है.
तो अभी जो आपकी बुकिंग है वो एज इट इज़ है?
जी, अभी तक तो एज इट इज़ है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कोई भी गाइडलाइन नहीं है. ये अभी सिर्फ ये बोला गया है कि आप ट्रैवल ना करिए. तो
अपील की है.
जी, अपील की है, बिल्कुल. बट मैं तो यही बोलूंगा कि अगर गवर्नमेंट ने कोई गाइडलाइन जारी करनी है तो जल्दी कर दी जाए, क्योंकि
at the moment there is no guideline. There's just this appeal that has come in from Prime Minister asking people to avoid traveling to foreign countries at least for a year. Let's talk about the appeal that the Prime Minister made in terms of restraining when it comes to buying gold for a year. So this is the scenario. Prime Minister says, say no to gold for the moment, at least for a year. And the logic is the 72 billion Forex reserve. India's gold import in 2026, financial year 2026, is $72 billion. Now, this 24% rise from 2025, and we are the second largest buyer of gold. Gold bar and coin demand has jumped 34% year on year. But the Prime Minister says at the moment, delay that to a year. Now, let's take a look at what if that is done. That if there's restraint practice in buying gold, what will be the impact of that? So in 1 year, there'll be a reduction of 30 to 40% in imports. How much does that save? It saves $20 to $25 billion for India. So impact in 1 year, there'll be a 50% fall in imports. That is equal to saving $36 billion. If we cut down on gold buying, this is the impact that we'll be able to see. $36 billion saved means half of projected CAD. Now, this is the Prime Minister's appeal. Let's go across to Rucha to try and understand what is the impact of that as far as the industry there is concerned. Rucha, what are the kind of reactions coming in? What about those who, are into the business? How are they looking at the scenario?
Well, Prime Minister's appeal has definitely made an impact on several industries, and one of the most important industry is the jewelers industry. And I am in Mumbai's Zaveri Bazaar, where from across country people come and buy gold and silver jewelries. And we are joined by Mr. Kumar Jain, who is the national spokesperson for Indian Bullion and Jewelers Association. Sir, how is this statement making an impact on the entire industry in terms of consumers and from your end, from the jewelers' point of view?
Basically, there are 3 crores of goldsmiths are there and around 25 lakhs of shops are there. So it affects a lot. To those 3 crores goldsmith, they will run away they come from Bengal and Calcutta. They will run away from market. And this most of the shops, 25 lakh shops, they come from stainless steel market, at the same time cloth market. They will also shut down all shops. So this is a basic impact. Definitely there is an interest of the government that no doubt gold, if we stop bringing the gold or buying the gold, that will save the dollar. It would, but somewhere there is a big loss of this.
In terms of consumers, when we talk about Indian buyers who buy the gold as an investment or for wedding purposes, what is the response from the consumers?
There is a good response. People are from morning to evening. It is already afternoon. People are coming and buying the gold and going home. So simply for wedding and all, they cannot stop their own practices. As if there is a kavat ke Sridhan. Sridhan is a right Hindi word, but Sridhan we have to give it to the girl as much gold.
Right. Like we are hearing from the jewelers, people are not really refraining from purchasing gold, but are considering whether to buy an extra gold.
That will help you save dollars, but that will impact the industry as well. Rucha, do stay on with us. Prakash, before I come to you, we have some breaking inputs coming in on the broadcast. Quickly telling our viewers about that. This is what top government sources are telling Times Now. The government is monitoring oil marketing companies very closely, and we are learning that the government is estimating losses up to 1 lakh crore rupees for the oil companies. A review is being carried out on all fronts. Prakash, over to you. Tell us about this breaking development. The government has compensated OMCs in the past.
Well, as I told you, the review, oil marketing companies are facing under recoveries. In fact, it is likely to cross rupees 1 lakh crore in the first quarter of the current financial year. And the overall under recovery on petrol, diesel and LPG may cross rupees 2 lakh crore in the first quarter of the current financial year. And therefore, review is underway. In fact, the Prime Minister office is involved. It is various aspects are being considered at this point in time. In fact, sources indicate that Finance Ministry, the Oil Ministry have submitted their input to the Prime Minister office last week, and various aspects are being taken into consideration. And sources suggest that the possibility of a petrol diesel price hike cannot be ruled out, and therefore it's a very important development at this point in time. However, sources also suggest that the interest of the common man will be taken into consideration while taking any decision. the situation is being monitored on regular interval. In fact, the oil ministry, stakeholder consultations are underway, including oil marketing companies, and the government is taking all factors into account before taking any call. A very significant development coming in, and you are aware of the fact that the government has compensated oil marketing companies for their previous losses as well. In fact, they have provided rupees 30,000 crore to compensate them for their previous losses.
Right.
But this time around, losses on domestic LPG may be much higher, maybe rupees 50,000 crore or beyond that. And therefore, these issues are being considered, these issues are being reviewed at this point in time, and appropriate decision would be taken at the right time.
Appropriate decision could be taken, financial support could be expected at the right time. Rucha and Prakash and Ankit, Neha, thank you very much for getting us the details. Let's take a look at how people are responding to the appeals that Prime Minister made. Prime Minister asking people to practice great restraint when it comes to fuel, gold buying, adopt work from home. This is how people reacted.
नहीं सही बात है, प्रधानमंत्री ने सही बात बताई है। पेट्रोल जो है कम से कम इस्तेमाल करें, और हम तो खैर बूढ़े आदमी हैं, हम तो महीना में शायद 2-3 लीटर खत्म होता है कि नहीं होता है, लेकिन और लोगों से मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि सब लोग जो है पेट्रोल पे ध्यान रखें, कम से कम चलें।
उसमें कोई गलत नहीं है, जिस हिसाब से वो एडवाइड कर रहे हैं उस हिसाब से हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं, तो एडजस्ट करना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि नागरिक हम लोग यहीं के हैं, जब उनको कष्ट है तो हमको भी होगा।
गाड़ी का यूज़ कम करेंगे, इलेक्ट्रिक का यूज़ करेंगे। हाँ, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल है, उसका यूज़ करेंगे। कोशिश करूँगा लोगों को, मैं यही संदेश दूंगा कि भाई आप इलेक्ट्रिक वाहन का यूज़ करो, देश में क्राइसिस चल रही है।
आई थिंक हिज अपील इज क्वाइट ओके। आपको ऐसे भी कम खर्च करना चाहिए। एनर्जी शुड नॉट बी वेस्टेड, देयर शुडंट बी एनी वेस्ट, और किसी भी चीज़ का वेस्ट नहीं होना चाहिए। जो ज़रूरत जितनी है उतना करें, फालतू के खर्चे न करें।
तो कैसे, मतलब जिनको ऑफिस जाना है, जितना पेट्रोल लगता था, वो कैसे मैनेज करें?
जिनको ऑफिस जाना है वो भाई अगर एक ही जगह से 4 लोग जा रहे हैं तो वो दे कैन शेयर द वंस कार ईच डे। देखिए, दिस इज ए नेशनल प्रॉब्लम, इंटरनेशनल प्रॉब्लम आई शुड से ना। तो अगर हम कोऑपरेट नहीं करेंगे तो कोई दूसरा थोड़ी कोऑपरेट करेगा कि यहाँ।
So there's no panic on ground, and you heard the people on the Prime Minister's appeal, but there is a political firestorm for sure. It has sparked sharp reactions from the opposition. Lok Sabha leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has hit out, calling the Prime Minister compromised and accusing the government of asking the public to make sacrifices while failing to take responsibility itself. He added that this is evidence of government's failure and a deliberate attempt to shift the burden onto the people. So this is how the opposition is reacting. They've stepped up their attack on the government, questioning preparedness, handling of the current situation. Several leaders have alleged that policy failures are being passed on to citizens, while also launching a sharp critique of the Prime Minister, claiming that governance has weakened and the country is being adversely affected. But the government defended the move and says this must be implemented in national interest.
समझता हूं कि जितने अभी जो चुनाव जस्ट अभी संपन्न हुए हैं, जिस प्रकार उन्होंने एक जिसे कहा जाए तो पब्लिक मनी का जो दुरुपयोग हुआ है, तो पहले तो मोदी जी उन चीजों को देखना चाहिए। और मैं समझता हूं चैरिटी बिगिंस एट होम, वहां से शुरुआत होती है। आज ये मैं कह सकता हूं कि निश्चित रूप से जो क्राइसिस है, क्राइसिस में पूरे देश को साथ खड़ा होना चाहिए, इससे कोई इनकार नहीं है। कल को लगातार चुनाव में इनके कहता है कि मंगलसूत्र लोग छीन लेंगे। आज मंगलसूत्र कौन छीन रहे हैं? मोदी जी स्वयं छीन रहे हैं। आज जो क्राइसिस हुआ है उसके लिए सबसे ज्यादा कोई जिम्मेवार है तो स्वयं मोदी जी हैं, उनकी सरकार है।
Since the war is now still going on, and yesterday's developments we all know that truce is still far away, we as citizens, as our Prime Minister has asked all of us to, can reduce our expenditure on everything that requires foreign exchange to be spent. And in our lives, in our own ways of working, we can identify whatever we can do to preserve the foreign exchange. Simultaneously, we must also earn the foreign exchange more and more. Both things have to go in parallel.
With that, we're slipping into a very short break, but we have some top stories lined up for you on the other side as well. Stay on with us.